Hi everyone, this is Bipin Kumar, founder of RPM Tutorials. Welcome to my channel. Let us learn compound interest today. Compound interest has some bearing on simple interest also. And in your earlier classes also you might have learned that a simple interest, P is principal, R is rate of interest, and T is number of years. Therefore, simple interest is given by this formula, which is P multiplied by R multiplied by T by 100. In compound interest, again P denotes the principal, but a small r usually we use for rate of interest and a small n we use for number of years. Amount is given as principal multiplied by 1 plus small r by 100 raised to the power n. This is the formula of amount. And the compound interest is nothing but the amount accumulated minus the original principal. That is how compound interest is defined. Now let's try understanding this in a bit more detail. So in simple interest, what happens is that you are lending a sum of money to someone, and suppose certain principal, suppose 1,000 rupees you have lent to someone on principal interest at the rate of say 5%, and say for example for maybe 3 years. So the simple interest of this amount which you will earn is P into R into T divided by 100, and P here is 1000 multiplied by R is 5 multiplied by T is 3 divided by 100, and therefore you are going to earn an interest of 150 rupees. That is simple interest. So what is happening in simple interest, that every year whatever interest you are earning, it is just getting added, same interest will be getting added. Let's try understanding a bit more detail, then you will be able to understand. Suppose you are calculating simple interest. In the first year what happens? In the first year you are going to get money which is 1000 multiplied by 5% is 5 into first year is 1 divided by 100. So you are going to get 50 rupees in first year. What happens with second year? Second year, same logic. PR into T by 100, because it is only for 1 year, which is second year. Then again the same logic applies, 1000 into 5 into 1 divided by 100. So you are again going to get 50 rupees as interest in the second year. Same logic applies for third year interest also. So for third year also you are going to get only rupees 50 because the number of years is only 1. Now if you add all three, you are going to get 150 rupees. This is what you get it here. So what you are getting in case of simple interest, that every year you are going to get same interest. Why? Because your rate of interest is same and the principal is also same. Okay. Now contrast it with compound interest. What happens in compound interest? In compound interest, and this part you need to understand very clearly. In the compound interest, the principal of original principal, suppose original principal is P and rate of interest is R. Let us take the same example which we had taken earlier, that principal is rupees 1000. Okay, and rate of interest is 5% and time is 3 years. Okay, so in this case, on the compound interest for the first year, the interest will be PRT by 100, which is 1000 multiplied by 5 into 1 divided by 100. We are calculating only for 1 year, that is first year, so therefore T is equal to 1. So you are getting rupees 50. Same as the case of the simple interest. But when you are going to calculate for second year, the principal will change. Why it will change? Because the interest which you have earned in the first year, that becomes the amount and that will get added. The principal was rupees 1000 and in that rupees 50 will get added. So that becomes 1050 and this becomes the principal for the second year. In case of simple interest, principal was not changing, but in case of compound interest, the amount at the end of the first year becomes the principal for the second year. So your principal has become 1050. Okay. Rate of interest remains same. Time is again in this case also because we are calculating for second year. So in this case, T is equal to 1. So then your interest for the second year becomes again PRT by 100, but P in this case becomes 1050 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 1 divided by 100, and in this case, probably these two zeros will not go. We can put it like this, and therefore this becomes 5 5 25, 2 divided by 10. So it is rupees 52.50. That much will be the interest of the second year, right? With the same logic then, we get the interest of the third year also. But in this case, again, the principal will change. Now the principal will become, because the amount at the end of second year will be 1050 plus the interest earned in the second year, which is 52.50, and therefore the amount at the end of second year becomes 2 and 5 5 10 1 1 1102, and this becomes the principal for the third year. Okay, and likewise you can calculate the interest for the third year and then you can find the final amount. So what difference you are noticing in comparison to the simple interest? In the simple interest, principal doesn't change. Therefore, the interest earned remains same every year. But in case of compound interest, the principal gets added with the interest at the end of the year, and therefore the amount becomes the sum of the principal and the interest earned, and this amount becomes the principal for the next year. And therefore, interest always changes. Here it was rupees 50, here it is more 52.50. And in the third case, third year also it will change further, right? So by this example, you have clearly understood what is simple interest, what is compound interest, how these calculations are done, right? Let's talk about this formula, how this formula comes. Okay, let us look at this way. We have understood how we calculate the compound interest. Now let's take the example of the principles only in terms of the variables P and R and N, because we are talking of compound interest. So This is the principal, this is the rate of interest per year, this is the number of years for which the compound interest has to be calculated. Now, if this is the case, then in the first year, what will be interest? Interest will be equal to P into small r into 1 divided by 100. That will be the interest. So we can write this as P into R divided by 100. Now, what will be the amount at the end of first year then? The principal plus the interest earned in the first year. So that will become P plus P into R divided by 100. And therefore, amount at the end of the first year will be equal to P under bracket 1. We have taken the common of P R by 100. Okay. Now let's go to the second year. In the second year, what happens? This amount becomes the principal for the second year. So your principal has become now, if I write P2, that is principal for second year, then this becomes P, which was the original principal, into 1 plus R by 100. Right? The rate of interest remains same, R. And for how many years? For second year we are calculating. So your N is equal to 1. Now what will be the interest? Because your principal has changed, so I have to calculate interest on this. So it will be P2 into R into 1 for 1 year divided by 100. Now what is P2? P2 is P1 plus R by 100. That is my changed principal. This is my changed principal. Okay, multiplied by R divided by 100. Okay, so this becomes my new interest for the second year. So what will be my amount for the second year? The principal P2 for the second year plus the interest earned in the second year. Now what is my P2? My P2 is P plus 1 by 1, sorry, P under bracket 1 plus R by 100. This is my principal for the second year. Plus what is my interest earned in the second year? That is P under bracket 1 plus R by 100 multiplied by R by 100. Correct? So therefore, the amount now becomes P 1 plus R by 100 can be taken common, right? And this becomes, because I have taken this common, so here it is 1. This also has come as part of the common, therefore plus R by 100, right? Which leads to P under bracket 1 plus R by 100 raised to the power 2, because this and this multiplied becomes a square. So what you are noticing, that for the first year the amount is P under bracket 1 plus R by 100. For second year the amount becomes P1 plus R divided by 100 raised to the power 2. For second year it is 2. For first year it is raised to the power only 1. So if we keep adding the interest of every year and the principal keeps changing, then at the end of the nth year, then my principal will get converted into the amount which will be equal to original principal 1 plus R by 100 raised to the power n. As we have said that for the first year, my amount is P under bracket 1 plus R by 100 raised to the power 1. For the second year, it is P multiplied by 1 plus R by 100 to the power 2. And therefore, for the nth year, it will be, amount will be equal to P under bracket 1 plus R by 100 and equal to 3. That is how this formula comes. If you have to calculate the amount at the end of, say, third year, n will be equal to 3. For 10th year, it will n equal to 10. Okay, so that's how this formula comes, right? Now let's take this as an example and see whether where we are reaching. Look at this problem. It is saying that rupees 10,000 is taken at 10% compound interest per annum for 2 years. Find the amount and the compound interest. So let us solve it with first method. The first method, my principal is rupees 10,000. Okay. My rate of interest is 10%. And the number of years is 2 years, right? So in first year calculation, what will be my interest? P into R into 1 divided by 100. Principal is 10,000 multiplied by R is 10 multiplied by 1 divided by 100. This one cancels, this one cancels. So rupees 1,000 is the interest at the end of first year. So therefore, amount at the end of first year, principal will get added with the interest earned in the first year, that is I, and therefore we'll get 10,000 plus 1,000, which will be rupees 11,000. So this becomes my amount at the end of the first year. What about second year? Second year, this amount of the first year becomes the principal. So in this case, my principal is rupees 11,000. Rate of interest is same 10%, and I am calculating for 1 year because that is second year. So n equal to 1, and therefore my interest in the second year will be equal to P into R into 1 divided by 100, and P in this case is 11,000 multiplied by rate of interest 10 for 1 year divided by 100, and therefore this 2 zeros goes, and therefore this becomes rupees 1,100 or 1,100. That becomes the interest in the second year, and therefore amount at the end of second year will be principal in the second year plus interest earned in the second year. Principal is 11,000 plus interest is 1,100, and therefore this becomes 0, 0, 1, and this is 2, and this is 1. So this is 12,100. That becomes the amount at the end of second year. And therefore, if I have to calculate the compound interest finally is amount finally minus the original principal, and that is equal to 12,100 minus the principal, which is 10,000, and therefore this will become 0, 0, 1 and 2. So it is 2,100 rupees. 2,100 is the compound interest, right? Let us mark it somewhere. Suppose I write it here, that the amount finally is rupees 12,100, and the compound interest earned in 2 years is equal to rupees 2,100. Sorry, 2,100. Now let's see that the same thing we get from the formula. Let us try that. So that is second method. So amount at the end of second year should be equal to the original principal, right? Original principal was rupees 10,000. Rate of interest or was 10%, and the number of years 2 years, right? That is what the original sum which we have taken. The same thing, right? So with formula it should be 1 plus r by 100 raised to the power n. Now my principal is rupees 10,000. Under bracket 1 plus r is 10 divided by 100 raised to the power n is 2. So with this we go 10,000, and this is 1 plus this 0. So this is 0.1 square, and therefore this becomes 10,000 1.1 the whole square, and if you do the 1.1 whole square, this will be 1.21, 10,000 multiplied by 1.21, and if you do that multiplication, then you will get this will be equal to rupees 12,100. Okay, the same amount you are getting, and therefore compound interest at the end of second year will be equal to the amount earned in 2 years as compound when the compounding was happening minus the original principal, and that will be equal to 12,100 minus original principal was 10,000, and therefore the compound interest is equal to 2,100. Okay, which is the same which we had got in the first case, right? So with this example, you might have clearly understood how to calculate compound interest, what is the basic fundamental of it, how the principal is changing every year with the interest of every year getting added into it, and that's how the compound interest calculation happens. Also how the formula comes. Usually we just look in the book and apply the formula, but this is the way the formula is derived, and then you will find that either method you apply, you will reach to the same conclusion. Okay, thank you very much.